Welcome back to another episode of the Proud American Patriot, otherwise known as TAP. So what are we going to talk about today? What's going on in the world? It's been a crazy couple weeks. Everything from the unfortunate assassination of Charlie Kirk to the left trying to blame it on some alt-right nationalists that thought Charlie Kirk wasn't far right enough. We all know that's been debunked many times over and not actually what happened. And then we've got you know the left taking all of Charlie Kirk's quotes and doing a hack job on them to make them look like they are something he didn't say or didn't mean. All the way to Jimmy Kimmel then coming out and making a statement the Monday following the Kirk assassination and getting suspended, and the left being all up in arms because freedom of speech and the government can't do that, and this, that, and the other. And we'll get into that a little bit here momentarily. But then the Hollywood jumped on the bandwagon, and Disney had everyone was selling off or canceling their Disney Plus memberships, and apparently it pushed the stock way down, which I guess would be a good time to buy Disney stock while their stock was low and sit on it for a month or two, wait for it to bounce back, because we all know it will. Sorry about that, everyone. It's kind of dry down here, and I've been talking all day, so the throat is feeling a little rough. But you had Hollywood jump on the bandwagon and say they're not going to work with Disney or ABC anymore. And last night, ABC brought Jimmy Kimmel back. That's not the main thing I want to talk about, but I wanted to put some things in context here as far as speech and freedom of the speech and the left and their temper tantrums that they threw for about a week there. So for full context, we're going to back up just a little bit and go back to that Monday night after Charlie was assassinated. Had a few days and then the weekend there, and Kimmel came out with his monologue on the Monday night show, and he said this, and I quote, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it." So, could it be offensive? Yeah, depending on how easily offended you are. I've seen the video. I've read the full quote. I don't know how many times. I've never put a lot of stock in Jimmy Kimmel to begin with. I think he's kind of a bit of a hack comic, and he's just a talking head for the left. I didn't put much on it. It's no less than what I would expect from a fine, upstanding person like him. Now, he got suspended, came back last night. This is being recorded the evening of the 24th, so it would have been the 23rd that he came back. And he did issue an apology. It was an apology. He came out and he had this fully scripted, carefully crafted apology that he read off the teleprompter and generated crocodile tears. They're going to put him up for an Emmy. They are. It's Emmy worthy. He did the whole crocodile tears and everything. He said that he can see how it could have been taken wrong, and that's not how he meant it, but he can see how it could have been taken wrong, which is putting the blame back on the person that took it instead of him coming out, shooting off the cuff, and saying, what I said may have been insensitive, too soon, whatever it may be. I want to take a moment to apologize to Charlie's family, his friends, his colleagues, those that support him. I'm sorry. That I maybe could have bought into a little bit, but he didn't. But back to the left and the loony left, I can't tell you, on social media I was having a grand old time, because every other post I saw was something about the government's taking our free speech. Well, no, they weren't. They weren't. This was a decision by Disney and ABC to suspend him, and it was a decision by Disney and ABC to bring him back. A lot of things on the backside that play into that with affiliates and advertising, most likely. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but you tell that to them, and they say, well, Brandon Carr, the chair of the FCC, he said he was going to go after him. No, he didn't say that either. So here's another direct quote. This is from Brandon Carr on Benny Johnson's podcast, and he said, frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find a way to change conduct, take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. So nowhere in there did he say he was coming after them. He was going to cancel Jimmy Kimmel. He just said there was more work. They're going to look into it. They're going to do their due diligence and investigation. And the reason for that is ABC, as a broadcast company, has to follow certain regulations by the FCC. One of those is they can't knowingly lie about something and pass it off as the truth, which is essentially what Kimmel did. So that kind of puts that to bed. Jimmy Kimmel came back last night, issued his apology, and we get to this morning. And had it not been for the shooting at the immigration center in Dallas, and I apologize, I'm getting conscious here of how the hat is sitting. Like things to be symmetrical. But anyway, had it not been for the shooting in Dallas by yet another crazy person on the left, the big piece of news was Google came out and admitted that they were pressured and strong-armed by the Biden administration to censor the American citizens. They did a full release. I found a copy of the letter from their lawyer. I found a news article that breaks a lot of it down. I'll go into that news article here in just a minute. But yeah, it is an interesting bit of reading. I'm not going to read all of it to you, but I did pull out some key points, especially in the letter from their lawyer, where they admit, one, that on their own they were censoring people, but then the White House and the Biden administration pushed beyond that. So just a couple of pieces here. Alphabet, so the company that is the parent company for both Google and YouTube, their lawyer, Daniel F. Donovan of King & Spalding, the law firm that represents them, issued a letter to Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan stating that they were pressured by Biden and his administration to censor the American people. So like I said, I'm going to get into that letter in a moment. But first, I want to get into the article that I found on judiciary.house.gov, which breaks it down, gives some of the high points. I did find some other parts of the letter itself that I want to speak to, but yes, it is it's the beginning of a culmination of a years-long investigation by the Republican-led Judiciary Committee on the House. They're investigating big companies, including Google, that censored and suppressed content on their platforms related to COVID-19, the 2020 election, and Hunter Biden. Don't know about the rest of you, but I had several accounts that got suspended for indefinite periods of time, or just over and over and over again until they told me, no, you're not going to do that anymore because we don't like it. So yeah, hopefully things are going to get better for those of us that don't necessarily buy into the left-wing narrative. So again, a couple key points. Google vowed on Tuesday to offer YouTube accounts that were permanently banned for political speech to be reinstated. The big tech giant admitted that it once faced pressure from the Biden administration to remove the content about COVID-19. Imagine that. They pressured them to take something off that went against their narrative. The administration created a political atmosphere that sought to influence the actions of platforms based on their concerns regarding misinformation. So the administration that was spreading the most information was concerned about misinformation. Make it make sense. And then it also goes in that YouTube's posture follows Meta similarly shifting last year towards denouncing the Biden administration's pressure tactics and welcoming more voices onto its platform. So, and yes, Meta has done that. Meta, formerly known as Facebook, or still Facebook, but parent company Meta, they have come out and said that yes, they were pressured by the Biden administration on several occasions, even flat out told to take accounts down. So I'm just getting into Meta that they revealed at the time it was doing away with third-party fact checkers. Read that as ultra liberals that if you said something that they didn't think should be true, even if it was true, they would take it down and they'd give you a warning or a suspension or whatever it may be. YouTube has not used fact checkers and vowed it will not empower fact checkers to take action on or label content on their platform. Well, that's good. They just kind of did it themselves anytime that they were told to. They were, for a period of time, the lapdog of the Biden administration. Biden administration would tell them, we don't like what this person's saying, take down their content. If you need to, suspend them, but we don't like it. So the other thing that's happening with this is parallel to the congressional investigation. There was a lawsuit brought by 2 Republican attorney generals over social media censorship. The discovery in that case largely mirrored what the committee uncovered. Unfortunately, this didn't make it to the Supreme Court for them to hear it. Based on the merits of the case, it was Murphy versus Missouri, and instead found that the plaintiffs lacked standing to bring it. So hopefully they go back and do whatever they need to do to establish standing and then bring it. But the lower courts largely sided with the plaintiffs, including a judge who found the federal government. Now, this is the big part, especially with the left saying that the right is the fascist and trying to censor people and free speech. They're masters at being 2 days behind and then projecting. I'll get into that in another video, but so including a judge who found that the federal government seemed to have assumed a role similar to an Orwellian ministry of truth. An Orwellian ministry of truth. Let that sink in. That's what this judge found that the government, and in this case, it looks like they're mainly speaking about the Biden administration, had become. So I'm going to get to that letter, like I said. Before I do that, I'd really love your support. Doesn't cost you anything. I'm trying to get the wheels up and running on this. So if you can, I'd really appreciate it. Both Facebook and YouTube, give me a like, thumbs up, give me a share, throw a comment in there. It helps me with the algorithms and trying to get this content out. The more that support that I can get from you, the better it's going to be for all of us. I'll be able to find more content to get out there. I'd like for this to get bigger. I do plan on putting out more episodes and a couple times a week, hopefully. Life's just a little bit hectic right now. But anyway, on to that letter from the lawyer that I promised you. So again, this is from the law firm of King and Spalding, representing Alphabet. And this is definitely written in a legal style. It makes it easy for me, just because after the initial, hey, dear Mr. Chairman Jordan, they make a little statement, and then everything is nicely numbered for each point. So I'm going to go through this. I'll hit a couple points. This was also from the House Judiciary government website that I found this. They did put it out there for all of us, which is mighty nice of them. Let us see what they see. I like the transparency. So I'm going to list the numbers off here in case you do want to pull this up and read it for yourself. Bear with me. I'm not going to be looking at the camera a lot because I've got it over here on my monitor to my left because I'm not going to try and memorize this. So point number one. Throughout the committee's investigation, Alphabet provided responsive information to the committee to fulfill its oversight responsibilities, producing internal records and providing extensive testimony, including more than 40 sets of responsive documents and voluntary participation of 20 executives in transcribed interviews. So that is no more than Google essentially saying, well, Alphabet essentially saying, here, we're trying to cooperate with you. We'll do what you ask. Next one goes into just talking about them. And then point three, the company is committed to doing its part to keep the digital ecosystem safe, reliable, and open to free expression. Alphabet designs its products to work for everyone. Bias towards particular viewpoint is not in line with the company's values or the company's business interests. Maybe not now that you got caught, but go back to 19, 20, 21, 22. That's a bold-faced lie. They were censoring anyone and everyone on the right for even the slightest comment. Alphabet's business model depends on being a useful source of information for everyone and home for users of all backgrounds. As a result, Alphabet has a natural long-term business incentive to develop its policies consistently, impartially, and independently. Again, that may be what it is now, but it wasn't what it was back then. And there were a few times you were pretty open about it. But hey, if you're going to change, great. I'm glad because that'll help the rest of us out. And then skipping forward, this is going to be points 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Kind of the real meat and potatoes of the committee investigation and their interaction with the Biden administration. So again, starting with point 5 going through point 10, the company has a commitment to freedom of expression. This commitment is unwavering and will not bend to political pressure. Again, maybe now, wasn't the case back then. Transparency regarding government interactions with private platforms is essential for fostering public trust and upholding principles of free expression. The committee's investigation brought to light information that enhanced public understanding in this respect. No, they called you out for your censorship. The COVID-19 pandemic was an unprecedented time in which online platforms had to reach decisions about how best to balance freedom of expression with responsibility, including responsibility with respect to the moderation of user-generated content that could result in real-world harm. No, it wasn't real-world harm. In fact, the majority of the stuff that was coming from the right was more fact-based than what was coming from the left. You just wanted to push their narrative. And when you didn't want to push their narrative completely, they bullied you into it and you caved. As online platforms, including Alphabet, grappled with these decisions, the administration's officials, including President Biden, I'm going to repeat that last part, including President Biden, created a political atmosphere that sought to influence the action of platforms based on their concerns regarding misinformation. So again, the administration's officials, including President Biden, were concerned about misinformation when they were the ones providing the misinformation. They just didn't want the actual information or anything that contradicted it to come out. It is unacceptable and wrong when any government, including the Biden administration, attempts to dictate how the company moderates content and the company has consistently fought against these efforts on First Amendment grounds. You weren't fighting against crap. They told you, take this down, you took it down. A lot of the times they didn't even have to tell you to take it down. In here, and I'm not going to go find it right now, but in this, it also talks how they had their own level, and as far as what they would allow, what they would consider was okay. And oftentimes the government came in and said, well, this is outside of what you have, but we want you to take it down. And they did. So then this last point that I'm going to get into is towards the end here. Point number 23. And this one says, company terminated channels for repeatedly violating its community guidelines on election integrity content through 2023 and COVID-19 content through 2024. Today, YouTube's community guidelines allow for a wider range of content regarding COVID-19 and election integrity, reflecting the company's commitment to free expression. YouTube will provide an opportunity for all creators to rejoin the platform if the company terminated their channels for repeated violations of COVID-19 and election integrity policies that are no longer in effect. So here's my issue with that. They went out to play censor and cancel free speech, even though they want to be the bastions of free speech. They want to be known as those people that they welcome diverse ideas and opinions and diverse points of view, and we are just the home of free speech. Yet, and who knows, I'm probably too small for them to really take notice of me, but with me bad mouthing, who knows, maybe they'll take me down. That's okay. So those people that they said, oh, no, you got one too many strikes because you violated our COVID policy or you violated our election policy, and we're going to terminate your channel. Now, several years later, they're saying, oh, you can have your channel back. All right. Yeah, that doesn't do anything for me. It does even less for them. Because they've either moved to another platform and built up their audience again, or if they try and relaunch the one that they had on YouTube, they are so far behind the curve that, no one's been able to see their channel for a couple years now. So how much really is it going to help them? They're starting from scratch. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that this came out. Thank you, Congressman Jim Jordan, for going after this, sinking your teeth into it, and bringing it to light so that everyone can see. I certainly appreciate you putting this out on the website so we can see the letter from their lawyer. Definitely written in a way where they're trying to not take accountability. Very similar to Jimmy Kimmel. Maybe they have the same lawyer. Who knows? But it is it's a start at least. And hey, you know what? When these people on the left talk about how the right tries to censor everything, we've got the receipts right here. We've got the receipts. They came out and told us we censored you. And we didn't just censor you by choice. We censored you because the Biden administration told us to. They strong-armed us. They pressured us. They came to us, a private company, and said, we want you to restrict speech. Running a lot longer than I really wanted to. We're probably pushing 25 minutes here, so I'm going to cut it off there. Everyone, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Be good, and we'll see you again soon.